Hello, this is just a curbside pickup CRT I found last night. We've got hard rubbish in the area, so people are chucking out all their old stuff, and it's a good opportunity to try and find CRTs. It hasn't been as many CRTs this time, I don't think, but you know, it's early days of the hard rubbish season, I guess. It sort of runs for about 3 or 4 weeks around this area, this part of Melbourne where I'm from. And yeah, so this is a JVC AV-29WS3. It's obviously a 29-inch. It's got a great case on it for doing Tate. I've got a Wii hooked up to it currently. The Wii is just running RetroArch. The resolution on this at the moment is 640 by 240. So yeah, it might be just a little bit funny on the horizontal resolution. In this case, the vertical kind of look of it. Might be getting some extra information that the TV's not able to cope with as well. It would be good to try and set this to 320 by 240. I'll try and find some other component sources at some point in time, but look, for now this is great. As you can see, a really clean picture, really nice colors. The colors are really popping, We've got some great scan lines going on. The edges are very sharp. You can see there's a little bit of ringing on the top part there, it's a little sort of shadow. So yeah, I'll just go through the kind of configuration changes and how I've gone about them. So used a Harmony remote. I've tracked down 2 profiles. One profile that's specific to this particular model of JVC, and I also found another profile which is just a generic one, I guess. The thing with the profile that actually fits a TV, it gives you some control over the cinema surround sound stuff, which is good. The set's got really great sound as well. Obviously I've got the volume down pretty low at the moment, but I'll turn it up soon. But yeah, the other profile is a generic one. The beauty of the generic one is that it has a service key in the settings. So you can see here, this is the sort of default one. Sorry, my dog's going crazy. So this is the stock one, so I guess this is for the actual model. And if I come out of here, go into my devices, I'll just go into the other one. This is the generic one. You can see we've got a service menu key that lets us get into the service menu. The service menu is pretty awesome. It's got, like, you know, def, which is for the deflection settings, which lets you change the geometry, you know, vertical height, pin cushioning, and that kind of stuff. So some things to note about this TV. It seems to like getting this video to info up on the screen, which is obviously just the display on the remote. I've got this hooked up to the info key, so you can enable and disable that. When you go to get into the menu on this, you just basically press the cursor key down in this profile. One interesting thing to note is that it has a video to set component. You can change this to composite, and I think you set it to video, and that will set it to being a composite input. Of course, when I do that, it's going to go black and white. But the interesting thing about that is that some of the settings are only available for video input to for the component input if you do stick it to video. The two settings that are important to look at, the two settings are sharp. So on this, I've turned sharp all the way off. I'm not a huge fan of some of the sharpening that some of these TVs can do. I think the newer versions, they kind of do some post effects or something like that to adjust the image. And yeah, I just don't think it's required really. So I think it can actually make the image look a lot worse. So I've turned that all the way down. I've pumped the color just a little bit up, just to make it a bit more poppy, reduce the contrast a little bit. You know, you can kind of probably adjust that. Maybe you could go there actually. But one of the interesting things is that when you're set video 2 to be component, you can't go to that sharp option. It just, as soon as you press down, it just goes to the next page. So yeah, you've got to stick it on the component. It has to be set to composite before you can access that sharp option. The other option that's really important is the VNR option. As you can see, I can't move the little hand to the VNR option, it just skips over it. That VNR, I highly recommend turning that off. It's some sort of again, some sort of vertical, I think it's vertical noise reduction is what they call it in JVC land. But yeah, the idea behind it is to try and sharpen the picture, and in the process I think it makes it look worse again. So I think it's just not needed. So yeah, if you need to change those two things, which I highly recommend, as I said, you just set this video to set to be composite or video, and then you can turn those two options right down or off. I'm not going to do that now because yeah, I've got it just set right. My concern is that if I do switch it to that, I might lose just some of these settings here. So I'll just leave it for now. Other nice things about the set, the sound, as I mentioned, it's really good. So the sound, you know, if I turn up the volume on this thing, you know, it's quite bassy, quite big. If I go into my other harmony settings, where I can control this cinema surround thing, if I change that, this is the cinema surround setting. Let's just come out of this thing here, and if we press it, you can set it to high. I think it's on high at the moment. You can set it to mono sound. Sort of cinema low or cinema high. Sorry, just let the dog out. So yeah, the sound when you change that cinema surround, I guess it's sort of putting in some extra kind of widening in the stereo field, so it makes a big difference. It sounds really nice, you know, even just on the low setting probably. The other thing I noticed is it's got this eco booster setting. The eco booster, I've turned that off. I think that's sort of dynamically controlling the brightness and contrast and that kind of stuff to try and, you know, minimize the amount of electricity that this set is using. Yeah, again, probably unnecessary in most cases, so I sort of just disabled that. Yeah, I think that's kind of everything I want to say about the set, really. Really impressed with the quality of the picture. You know, there's just that little bit of ringing at the top edges of stuff, at the sides of stuff. Seem to maybe just be on the right side, perhaps. That could be something just to do with the Wii. I'm not sure. Let's just go into. Let's go into the screen. Here is always a good one to look at. You can kind of really get to see the pixel artwork here, how it looks. The colors are really nice. It's probably not capturing it quite well enough. It's really popping. The artwork in this game's a bit funny in some spots. Like all the enemy ships and stuff are great on this stage, for instance, but when you look at some of the characters that are standing around in the background, things can look a bit rough. Hang on a sec. Just load it up with credits so we can see what it looks like. Let me get a bit further. That's cool. Nothing to complain about. Oh, these guys are great. But it's the school students that look a bit rough. Nothing wrong with this graphics. These spaceships are awesome. This robot thing is awesome. Now I don't know if this has got the same kind of quality as say a D series. I very much doubt it, but it is a newer model than a D series. It is flat as well. That's probably the other negative against it. But I mean, you know, most of the complaints about flats are that you can't put them in an arcade cab unless you put them in, say, a Blast City or something like that. In fact, I don't think it's a Blast City. Maybe you can put them in an egret. I'm not sure which one's the flat one. Yeah, probably the other complaint about them usually is the geometry in the corners, and I'm just not seeing that. I'm not seeing any issues with that. Of course, we didn't get to see any of the students, did we? Let's just restart this thing. These guys here, and these ones in particular, just look copy and pasted, pretty rough. Yeah. Anyway, that's that game. Still one of the best shooters, I reckon, in my personal opinion. I could play it for hours and hours and hours, trying to get good at it. Let's just find another one quick. So this is the Donpachi. One of the problems with Wii Retro Arch is you gotta do this little dance with the vertical mode, unfortunately. You set it to vertical mode first. Restart the core, and then do it again, switching it back on. And restart the core again. I have some little convergence issues maybe down in the right corner. Sorry, the left corner. Yeah. clean. Very clean indeed. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, really popping. Gold on this just looks fantastic. Maybe there's some convergence issues here, maybe. It's probably stuff that you can fix up with magnets. Convergence strips. It's another great looking game from Cave. This one's hand drawn, pixel art. It's just beautiful. Let's load up another one. You see, I kind of got the geometry right. It's not too bad. There's a little bit of a curve at the top. On the right and the bottom. I've tried to get that out with pin cushioning and that kind of thing, but yeah, look, it's in the image. There's not much I can do about it, I don't think. Let's let it do the same little dance again. Yeah, it's a shame. There's no way I can put this one and that one. This one's got a bit of screen burn, unfortunately. I might maybe one day I might put that one in this one. Who knows? Here is. Let's just close the content. Oh no. I'm gonna go to the core options again and do this vertical thing. Restart. I'm sure there's somewhere that you can probably configure these games up so that they actually load up correctly, but I've never bothered. Core options. No. Quick menu. Restart. There we go. Yeah, you can kind of see there's some weird stuff going on here. I think that's more to do with the resolution that I've got it set to, which is not proper 320 by 240. This is that 640 by 240, which is, I guess, is a super resolution. Yeah, I just think maybe it would be better if it was just straight 320. I don't have component cables for my Mister, so I can't really hook that up to it. Maybe that's something I can look into at some point. Whoa, the game's crashed. That's interesting. It was working earlier. It's probably one of my favorite games as well. Pretty hard to play on one of these things though. Let's see if it starts. Right, some bad graphics going on there. Missing layers. I guess that's the Wii for you. I mean, even then you can kind of get to see what this looks like. Those players sprites. It's awesome. No sprites whatsoever. Missing a whole layer or two. Again, the pixel work in this game is just phenomenal. There's some beautiful detail going on with these lights and stuff, which is so cool. Yeah, anyway, I think that's enough rambling. This is the JVC AV-WS3. Yeah, I'm quite happy to have it in my collection. Might have to dump something else. Alright, thanks a lot guys, bye.